Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to deck building. This first one we're going to go with is my Darkness World deck. This is the one that won this little guy, KC Buddyfight Championship. We'll just run through. We're going to try and go through this quickly. This is the buddy for the deck. The reason he's the buddy is because he's got no call cost and he's size 1. Generally, you want to try and do this with almost every deck if you can get away with it. Maybe a size 0, but it's basically whatever you can summon that has no call cost is the best thing. So this is the powerhouse of the deck for Samael. Up until recently, I've been running Mail Taker. The only difference is this guy's got 1 crit and he's got Spectral Strike 2, rather than Spectral Strike 1 and 2 crit. Also, his attack and defense has been reversed. Not as necessary. But the difference, the thing that made me go for this is because he has the word death here, and he's not just Black Dragon, and you'll find out why that's important later. I run 4 of this guy because he is what makes the gauge. A lot of cards in Darkness World all require 1 gauge or more. He's just on summon, pay 1 life, which is perfectly fine because you should be able to pay 1 life with this deck in order to set yourself up. And he gauges the top 2 cards, so that's the purpose of that. For El Huracan, this is just, he's literally just Death Gaze, except he's got no call cost and he's a size 2. Unfortunately, this is the only thing in the deck that's just Black Dragon and doesn't have Death, so that doesn't work with Death counter, which you'll see later. Death Gazes! 4 different rarities of them as well, which I thought was hilarious. Death Gaze is used in most decks, but it's because he is Black Dragon, Death and Deep. So he works with Death Talika, Death decks, Black Dragon, he works with everything. He's essentially the big staple of the deck. Here is 4 of my burials, and I also run 3 gallows. Gallows is pay 1 gauge. When it hits, you gain 1 life, but both of these can attack the opponent directly, even if they've got a monster in the centre. So this is called Shadow Dive. So most people would either run a deck around just this or around just Spectral Strike, but if you use both, it's terrifying for the opponent because they're worried about summoning monsters because you'll do 2 damage whenever you destroy any of the things, and they're also worried about this, just attacking them directly, because in situations where your opponent's down to 6 damage, it's very possible to just retire your field, summon 3 of these guys, and just go attack, 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 2, 2, 2, to just win off of that. So that's where a lot of the fear comes from. 3 Devil Stigma, not 4. 4 is unnecessary. 4 will clog your hand. 3 is perfectly fine. This is all about when your guy's going to be destroyed, you kill it and then you gauge instead, which is like gauge again, very important for the deck. 4 Death Shield, arguably one of the best cards in the entire game. Negates the attack and destroys a size 1 or less monster that has attacked. So that gives you, the fact that it negates and destroys is ridiculous. Going to show you Death Grip next. Cards went in order there. The Death Grip is literally just P1 gauge, destroy a size 2 or less. So you can do this when the opponent's attacking as well, or you can do it when the opponent states, they're entering their attack phase. So many different versions. You generally don't want to do it on their main phase unless it's against very specific decks. If against Jackknife, the opponent summons a Jackknife, you destroy it before you let them get Jackknives into their soul. But yeah, you can do it like when the opponent link attacks, and then the link attack doesn't go through and such. So we're playing 3 of these death counters. What that does is it gives you you can use it on a death monster. It gives it plus 4,000 attack and counter attack, but it doesn't increase its gives it 4,000 defense, but doesn't increase its attack. So that is amazing for making Death Gazes attack back, and also Spectral Strike still activates. And also this thing works with Samael, so Samael goes from 7 defense up to 11, and 11 is very difficult to attack over. And also with the Spectral Strike too, that can just start killing the opponent. As well as that, you also have Black Energy or Dark Energy, which is pay 1 gauge, your monster can't be destroyed and against counter attack for this battle. Again, can also be used with Samaels. Or Samaels or Death Gazes or anything really. It's all about just protecting your advantage. 3 of these because on occasion you don't have the gauge necessary to prevent the attacks. And the reason we play 3 of this and 3 of death counter is because you're not always guaranteed to have a monster on the field, and you're not always guaranteed to have the gauge to use a death shield or a dark energy or etc. Even at that, we're playing the maximum of them. This is just, the deck is a lot more defensive than what you think, but it's also strangely aggressive. This, which again, P1 gauge, 4000 attack, 2 crit, and it also got Spectral Strike 1. The Spectral Strike 1 you don't really want to use because you'd rather attack the opponent directly for the 2 crit rather than use Spectral Strike 1, but it gives you the option. If you're in a losing situation, you can use this to destroy opponent's monsters, and at least it still does damage. And finally, last 2 cards, which I very rarely use in decks, are impacts. And the reason for these impacts in here is gauge is not as scarce in this deck as it is in most decks, and there are times when it is easier to do 6 damage than it is to do 10 damage to an opponent. This can win you a game from having a bad hand if you've got Devil Stigmas and the Death Dragon that it gauges to. What's his name? This guy. Yeah. So, I'll just go quickly back over some of the stuff. So, impacts, you know what these do. These things. Also, with Spectral Strike, if you link attack, if you go link attack this with, if you link attack with any combination of these to destroy one monster, you get all their effects. So if you've got 3 Death Gaze on the field and all 3 link attack destroy one monster, that's 6 damage. If you go 6 damage and then just immediately play this, you've won. Not that you can because your center needs to be open, but in order to open it, you know, you've got Devil Stigmas that can do that. Just remember these can't be activated in the impact phase, so make sure to do it before you go into your impact phase. It's also really hilarious to go like link attack with 3 of these guys, Devil Stigma, destroy your center, attack with the weapon, because that's also possible. Negate attacks. So I'll just show you. Right, I'll change this about a little bit. So this is aggressive. Things to kill your opponent. Things to kill your opponent. Things to keep yourself protected. 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 Now, this, and this should all not only stop your monster from being killed, but also destroy the opponent's card. This is just to keep you alive. These parts are aggressive. That's just, you know, attack the opponent's monster. Attack the opponent's monster. This is all attack the opponent's life points directly, which is the Death Gaze and the Burials. This is get yourself gauge so you can set up. This is also get yourself gauge so that you can set up. This will also protect you from Spectral Strike or Penetrate or anything else that the opponent is attacking, because if you destroy your monster while that monster is being attacked, the attack is then negated. They do not get a replay. This is not Yu-Gi-Oh! And finally, of course, the big Samael himself. Generally, if you get into, right, you don't want to summon Samael turn 1. What you want to do is you want to hide behind some of these cards here and build up as much of this as possible, and then summon a Samael that should hopefully be invincible, because you should have enough stuff to keep him protected, and then anything else that you need, you should be able to draw and engage into one more of these things, because all of these will protect Samael, with the exception of this, because very few things that have more than 7,000 attack singularly.